Hey everybody, it's your girl PC in DC. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and hanging out with me. If you are new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. Today, guys, we're going to go over to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, where we're going to learn a little something about Afrofuturism. Prior to attending this exhibit, I had heard of it, but I really wasn't clear on exactly what it was. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's define Afrofuturism the best we can. Here we go. The term Afrofuturism was coined in the 1990s by cultural critic Mark Derry in his edited collection Flame Wars, The Discourse of Cyberculture. Derry used the term Afrofuturism to define speculative fiction that treats African American themes and addresses African American concerns in the context of 20th century technoculture, and more generally, African American signification that appropriates images of technology and a prosthetically enhanced future. What exactly does that mean? Well, there are other definitions of Afrofuturism that come from Tasha L. Womack, in which she defines Afrofuturism as an intersection of imagination, technology, the future, and liberation. And then Adriano Elia describes Afrofuturism as a transdisciplinary cultural movement based upon the unusual connection between the marginality of allegedly primitive people of the African diaspora and modern technology and science fiction. The languages of Afrofuturism, Elia considers the different languages through the art of Basquiat, music of Sun Ra, the literature of W.E.B. Du Bois, Ralph Ellison, and Octavia Butler. Although there are many definitions of Afrofuturism, they all have themes of reclamation, Black liberation, and revisioning of the past and the predictions of the future through a Black cultural lens. In her book Afrofuturism, The World of Black Sci-Fi and Fantasy Culture, Tasha L. Womack opens her book by talking of a time when she was Princess Leia for Halloween. The experience filled her fourth grade heart with joy and pride. Black people feel comfortable now, more than ever, to participate in events like cosplay and festivals and own comic book stores. But Afrofuturism does not create technologically advanced features where Black people reign. It looks at the past and exposes how Black people have been written out and erased from scientific history. Afrofuturism exposes Black inventors and scientists that were forgotten or replaced with images of non-Black people. Womack mentions how technology has advanced the way Black people can communicate and learn from each other, whereas in the past, race conversations would be left to scholars and intellectuals. But now, some on the internet whose names you don't know with an online alias can contribute. Allowing Black people to better explore and learn about the past important Black figures and help them to explore their own identities. Afrofuturism in music. The term Afrofuturism was not coined until the 1990s. Afrofuturistic music and aesthetics became apparent and common in the 50s. The 1950s was a great era for science fiction. There were numerous movies about alien invasions, landing on the moon, and exploration. And there was fear that the development of nuclear weapons would lead to the destruction of mankind. However, there was little to no representation for Black people in these films. So, for many at the time, jazz music was its first encounter with what is now described as Afrofuturism. Musicians such as Sun Ra stepped outside of the confounds of contemporary jazz scene. Sun Ra and his band, Orchestra, declared themselves from Saturn. sent to Earth to bring all peoples together with their music. Adriano Elia describes Ra's music as aiming. It was aimed at denouncing racial discrimination by underlining the potential of marginalized Black people. The band even embodied an Afrofuturistic aesthetic by dressing as if they were extras from a sci-fi film. Other jazz artists from the 1950s and 60s include John Coltrane, Miles Davis, and Jimi Hendrix, with some psychedelics, sci-fi, and other inspired tunes. The 70s and the 80s gave us George Clinton and his band Parliament and Prince. And in the 90s, Afrofuturism combined with multiple genres like hip-hop with Outkast, neo-soul with Erykah Badu, and techno, all embracing the idea of Afrofuturism and giving their own spin on it. All of these musicians had their own hand in envisioning the future for Black people and showing how cool Afrofuturism could be in the present time. Afrofuturism in literature. Through Afrofuturist music, only one side of this dynamic genre was explored. But the literature of Afrofuturism can be found as far back as the 19th century. Lisa Yazek cites Martin Delaney, Charles Chestnut, and Edward Johnson as early Afrofuturistic storytellers. These artists told stories of changing science and societal conditions pertaining to African American history and future. Writers like W.E.B. Du Bois, Ralph Ellison are also considered early Afrofuturistic contributors. Ellison's Invisible Man was seen to serve as a sort of preface to Afrofuturism because it discussed the social conditions and alienations of Black people using alienation and technology. However, he failed to create a future in his novel. Other writers who are thought to have contributed a significant amount to Afrofuturistic literature are Octavia Butler and Harlem-born sci-fi writer Samuel Delany. Butler is credited with making a special connection to women readers through her use of heroines in her Afrofuturistic novels. Though, unlike some sci-fi stories set in an apocalyptic or post-apocalyptic state, Butler writes about evolution through the unity of race. Adriano Elia describes the impact of these writers the best. In each of these works, the futuristic and supernatural elements show a new way to deal with old issues and revealed an innovative Afrofuturistic perspective on the condition of people of the Black diaspora. Black to the Future. Now that we have looked at Afrofuturism through the lens of science and technology, literature, music, art, and aesthetics, where do we go from here? Afrofuturism has allowed for those things that used to be uncool and nerdy to become interesting and at the forefront of our lives. Afrofuturism continues to live on and be reinvented through 21st century writers and musicians such as Solange, Janelle Monáe, Lupe Fiasco, and others. We see it in films such as Black Panther. Afrofuturism is currently dominating the media and continuing to open up young children to endless ways to interpret and change our Black history through the past and the future. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Take care and have a phenomenal week. P.S. That Black Panther costume you're looking at right there, that is the original Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther costume. Pretty impressive.